Yvette.
Hi, hello everyone. Hi,
Hello.
Jessica.
Hi.
Hi, Anthony, and good to see you again, Greg.
Yes, nice to see you, Matt. Glad to have you
Yeah.
here.
I like that plant behind you. It's something that my dad used to keep in the house when I was growing up. Yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
Oh, wow.
Like
Thank you.
I don't know, it has a like special, I guess, Chinese meaning behind it, maybe fortune or something like that.
Could
Long
be,
life.
could be.
Well, they call it a turtle plant, right?
Yes, yes. I think it's always good to keep something fresh and green and real in the house.
Yeah.
And I like big plants too. Yeah.
Yeah, we have all well, we have a number of plants in here. But that one, I know my wife was telling me the other day that it's called a turtle plant because it's long life, right?
Yeah, it looks
Um,
like a turtle shell.
yeah, yeah, it does.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell my wife. My wife is responsible for that, so I'll compliment her. I always, whenever she does something well like that, I'll tell her that she did it, and indirectly I did too, because I picked her. She didn't like that.
Yeah, take responsibility for all the good stuff she does. That's the
That
trick, you
it kind of
know.
bothers her a little bit. She's like, "You can't do that." I'm like, I kind of accomplished that this week because
Yeah,
you did it, but
yeah, that's right.
she doesn't like that too well. She gets a lot done, so she's pretty productive. So I can take credit for a lot of things when I do that, but I have
Right.
to use it sparingly. It's a joke.
Now, when
Yeah.
I Yvette, did you happen to see any of the videos I sent this week? I sent two that I was going to talk about. One is with Greg talking about
Yeah, I watched both of them.
how
Yes.
powerful the system is, right? And the other
Yes.
one was Michael Caine. Did you
Yeah.
see that one?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
So yeah, they're both really really amazing, I think. So my basic understanding of this system here, this whole thing, mental time travel, right? Um, and also the idea that we have a past self, we have a future self, basically the inner self, but the inner self moves around. So sometimes it's past self, sometimes it's the future self, and we can cultivate those and we can use them. Um, what I what I believe, and I believe it more and more all the time, is that that's an accurate way to think about what thinking is. That the inner part of your mind, the inner self, the inner focus, the inner awareness, as I call it in the book, it moves around. And it moves around, they have this expression, monkey mind. You've heard that before, right? It's like a monkey goes anywhere, it just runs around like crazy. And that's a
Yeah.
little bit what your inner self is like, or your inner awareness is like. Um, both being the same thing, I suppose. And but the trick is, of course, to control it. When you can control it, when you can hold it still, and you can hold it there for 5 minutes or even 1 minute and think about it, then you can sort of get information from that particular place, right? In your inner map of inner space time, right? So what what I've noticed over the years is that that little model, that we have this inner space field of time, and your inner awareness moves around in it, either all by itself if you don't control it, or if you do control it, then that's what meditation is. That's what mind power is. Learning how to put your mind in a certain place and do different things with it. One of the things we can do is maybe change the meaning of something. If it's negative, we can change the meaning. Yeah, there you go. I like his hair.
You like my picture?
Yeah.
It's on the wall. Yeah.
What
So it's our monkey mind. I
what
just
is
had
it?
to. It's funny that you had to say that. My wife picked this out as kind of a fun thing, but there's the monkey mind. So he's got the shirt
I
on
got
with
a, I
the.
got a picture of a monkey upstairs too. I like monkeys,
We like the
um,
monkey, but I'm
even
just
though they're
looking at this.
dangerous. Um,
Yes.
speaking
Sorry
speaking
to
of
interrupt you, but
speaking of Michael Caine, he was one of the things he mentioned in this audiobook that I was listening to was that he was visiting India with his wife because his wife is from India, and they were at some temple, Taj Mahal or someplace, I don't know. Anyway, this monkey came up and jumped on him and stole his glasses, which is one of their favorite tricks, right? So he says now he always makes sure that when he travels, he carries an extra pair of glasses, just in case, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that model, it's my original thought was that that's an accurate description of what thinking is, how your mind works in that way, right? And over the years, I've become more and more and more convinced that that's absolutely true. And of course, if you think about someone like an architect, they're going to be visualizing some building that they want to design. And if they have a good imagination, which probably they will have, they might even imagine themselves walking through the building and looking at every room and looking at the staircases and the windows and all that sort of stuff, right? Apparently, Thomas Edison and also Tesla, they were legendary for their ability to imagine their inventions before they made them. Especially Tesla, apparently he was able to design like a machine in his mind, and then he would sort of test it out in his mind and make sure everything worked, and then he would make it for real. And as often as not, I think it worked the first time because he was so good at visualizing. So this idea of being able to, first of all, recognize that you have this inner awareness, this inner self, kind of, and then being able to use it, to me, that's number one, an accurate description of what thinking is. And it's also an accurate description of what the secret of success is. Because everybody who's successful, they use this part of their mind to imagine themselves in the future achieving their goals. And so over the years, I've noticed more and more and more things that model can represent, right? For example, when I was a kid, I was raised as a Catholic, and one of the things I learned, and it was just in passing, just an idea that they sort of threw out at us, But I mean, a lot of people have heard about it, and that's the idea of the guardian angel, right? And so your guardian angel is supposed to be a person that sort of like gives you advice or maybe warns you if something is not good, It's like, you've heard stories about people that are going to go on a plane and they get this weird feeling that, that they shouldn't be on this plane. So they cash in their ticket and they get a ticket on another plane. And it turns out the plane they were going to go on crashes, And oftentimes they'll say something like, my guardian angel told me, to not take that plane. So that's a way of describing that. But I think that your guardian angel is your future self. Or at least it could be your future self if you want it to be, And so, like when I described when I was thinking about going to England and I wanted to do some speaking there, I just, asked my inner self, in a sense, or I became my inner self, really, for a moment, and imagine that I was in England giving a talk, and I asked myself, how did I get here? How did I set this up? How did I arrange this speaking gig? And the answer I got was, well, you sent an email to some positive thinking groups in England, and one of them invited you to come and talk. So I thought, hey, that's a good idea, So that's what I did, and it worked, right? So when I say I asked myself a question, well, what part of myself am I asking? Well, in this case, it was my future self, right? And if I'm thinking about something in the past, some event in the past that either I want to draw energy from, positive energy, the famous yo-yo contest. an incident that meant nothing to anybody probably except me, and it's because I decided to have it mean something. So it's one of my past successes. Have you played around with that past successes list, Yvette?
No, not yet. No, I need to look into
Got
it.
to get hustling. Got to do it. Got to do it right away.
Okay.
Um, yeah, just
Where
write
can
down.
I find it? Where can I find it?
Oh, it's in the binder. You've got that workbook.
Okay.
It's one of the sheets in the workbook. Uh,
Okay, thanks. I'll
yeah.
look in.
So what I call a past success is basically any point in the past that has positive energy for you. So, for example, I have a very vivid picture in my mind of me walking across the stage and picking up my degree from UBC, right? That was a big thing for me, to do that. And so I made a point of remembering it. So that's on my past successes list. Now, when I think about that, there's all kinds of stuff that comes from that, right?
For
It's
sure.
like, you know, perseverance. I did it. It was a goal. I achieved it. I was happy that I did it, proud that I did it. All kinds of positive energy comes from that situation, which literally only lasted 30 seconds maybe as I was, they called my name and I walked across the stage and I got my degree and shook my hand or something. I can't remember even. But that event, was a big one for me, right? So that's a
Yeah.
past success. And the thing about the past successes list, you just write those on your past successes list, right? So you have a record of them. And what you'll find is that when you sort of go inside and relive that experience and you get those feelings back, what often happens is it'll trigger another memory that has the same kind of energy. You'll remember doing some other thing successfully, right? So you write that down. And then, of course, when you have 5, 10, 15, 20 of those past successes, then the energy just builds and builds and builds, right? And it gets better and better. So that video that I sent about Michael Caine, right? He's talking in there about the Stanislavski method. Now, you've heard of method acting, right? You know what that is?
Mm, a little bit. I don't know. I have heard of the term before, but I don't know what that means. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you what it is.
Yeah.
Jess, you've heard that before, right? So, I mean, some of the most famous actors and most successful actors of our time, Jack Nicholson, Marlon Brando, Michael Caine, you know, they use what's called the method, right? And so, what the method is using your past success. Now, they don't necessarily call it a past success, right? What they call it is sense memory. So, what they do is they pick a point in the past, something that they've experienced.
Mm.
Now, if you haven't experienced it, you can pretend to experience it. That's the other side of it. You can just make it up, right? You can pretend. But typically, what they do is they will search for something in the past, and what they're looking for is they're looking for energy, a certain kind of energy and emotion, right? So, for example, they might have a very specific memory that when they think about it, it makes them cry, makes them sad, you know? They may have another one that makes them angry, right? They may have another one that makes them
Yeah.
feel like,
Anthony, oh my God, this resonates with me so much. I just saw 2 days ago, I saw this National Theater live cinema featuring there's a play called Vanya. It's a re-edition of the classic English I mean Russian novel called Uncle Vanya, and it's
Uncle Vanya,
Andrew
yeah.
Scott playing 8 characters by himself on stage for 2 hours. I
Wow.
thought Andrew Scott was like this hot guy, but no talent really, like before this. But I want to watch this because I really do like his looks. But I was amazed by how he could perform for all 8 characters in the play by himself on the stage. And like you said, there's moments that he had to switch from one person to the next in seconds, and the emotion just switched like that from his face.
Right.
I don't even know how he does that. He could be smile for this person, for the little girl, and then when he plays his father or the uncle one year, like suffering, so like he just starts to have the tears in his eyes. I don't know how he does that. It feels
Well,
inhuman.
I mean, that sounds amazing. I'll have to. If it's on video somewhere, I'd like to see
No,
it.
it's
But
so tomorrow is the last day for limited showings around the globe.
is it a movie or a live?
So basically, what happens right now is a lot of people, well, I think the West End, the London place, you know, that if you go to
Mm,
London, you will see the theater district. They have a lot of plays going on. And now they try to promote it worldwide, but they don't want to make it as successful as online streaming. So they actually hire professional movie makers to actually film the actors on stage with different angles and make it like it's incredibly filmed. So
yeah.
it feels like you are actually immersed in the theater with them. I mean,
Well, it's
not
quite
quiet, of
possible.
course,
Yeah, it's quite possible that
but
him
you need to,
uses.
go to the movie theater to see those
Okay.
ones. They don't actually get released online.
Okay,
Some
I'll see if I
of them
can find
will.
it. Maybe it's playing in town somewhere. But it's quite possible that he's using this method, right? And
I just
so,
don't know how he does it. It's incredible. It's like 1 second he's this person, the next one his tone changes, his facial changes. Sometimes the tears come down, and he
yeah.
has to sometimes,
Well,
spell.
if you watch that video with Michael Caine, the one I sent yesterday or a couple days ago, he explains in there what it's about, right? And and
But
so,
how come we cannot do it? I can't do it.
well, of course you can. I'm
No, I can't do
I'm
that.
explaining it right now. I'm explaining it right now. It's
Can you do it for us?
using your past successes list. That's the idea, right? So now the past successes list
Okay.
is one aspect of using your inner self like this, right? But of course, with the actors, they do it as a profession. I mean, they do it over and over and over and over again, but the idea is you build this memory so intensely that just by thinking a thought, you can start to cry, or you
But
can
isn't that
or you can get super angry, right? So that's
but
what.
doesn't but isn't that make the person so easy to be depressed or sad because they can think about something and they can have those physical emotions all the
That's
time. I mean,
true.
or is it just a physical and nothing emotional?
That's
I don't
true.
know.
That's true.
So so
And
when they're having tears on their face, it's actually just physical, nothing emotional. They're
oh
actually
no,
not
it's emotion.
feeling
It's absolutely emotional. But the thing is, Stanislavski himself, who was the guy that sort of popularized this, right? He said that it's dangerous too. You have to be careful, because some actors, if they get too much into that role, Jim Carrey is another example, right? Heath Ledger, they figure he just got too much into being the Joker when he was doing the Batman movie, and he just kind of went nuts. And so Stanislavski himself says you have to be careful, because it can be dangerous depending on what emotion you're going for, right? So this is what they call method acting, right?
yeah.
And a lot of actors in Hollywood, maybe half, they've studied this technique, right? So this is using your inner self, like sending your awareness back in time. At least this is how I see it. This is how I describe it. You send your awareness back in time, and you just build that memory. What did you see? What did you feel? What did you think? What could you hear? What could you smell? Were there sounds? Whatever. And if you do it enough, and of course, this is what actors do, right? They'll spend weeks or months getting into a character so that when they're in the movie, they can just instantly think of a thought. And if you watch that video with Michael Caine, he talks about there's one thought that he has, it just makes him cry. And he instantly goes there. And while he's telling the story, he almost starts to cry. And the guy
Mm.
who's interviewing him says, "Whoa, you just kind of went there, didn't you?" And he said, "Yeah, He said you have to be careful with it because, and he said those little places in my mind. He doesn't say places in my mind, but he says those memories, those experiences. He says he doesn't talk about them to anybody because if you talk about it to somebody, it kind of loses its power a little bit, right? And he says then the next time you want to go use it, maybe it's not as good. So he says he has a few of those things. So this is what they call method acting, right? And of course, another way that I see people using it is when, you've heard this expression, you fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
Like the very first time that I gave a public talk, I was so terrified that my knees were knocking, right?
Mm.
But I just sort of pretended, okay, I've done this before. This is, I can do this. I'm feeling confident, And so I just sort of got into the headspace. Now, what I did before I gave the talk was I spent quite a while, a few weeks, visualizing and pretending and imagining that I was giving the talk. And I literally was in my living room, walking around my living room, doing my little talk, imagining I could see the audience there and everything. I mean, I was using everything that I could to put myself into that mindset so that when I did the talk, it felt like it wasn't the first time. It felt like I'd done it before, And of course, after you do it, and if it's successful, and in this case it was successful, the people liked it, they clapped, then of course, then you have like a physical memory of it. Then you can go, oh, now I did it, So now you feel much more confident about it. But at first, you just have to pretend, right? And of course, with these actors these days, especially all these superhero movies and things, lots of times they're acting in front of like a green screen where they might be the only person there. And and they have to imagine, oh, there's somebody coming at you with a sword or something, and you have to fight them off, whatever. I mean, they have to just, the whole thing is in their mind, right? And obviously, this takes practice. It takes work. And who are the highest paid people on the planet? People that are good at doing this. An architect who can imagine a building and then design it and draw plans because he's seen it in his mind, and then give those plans to somebody and raise money and then have somebody build the building. Architects, they make big money, right? And actors, I mean, Michael Caine at one point, I'm not sure how much he makes now, but when he was younger, when he first started, when he first got into the business after a few years, he was making $1 million a picture.
Yeah, of course. They make a lot of money.
They make a lot of money, right? I mean, Marlon Brando famously was paid $1 million for one day, I think, on Apocalypse Now, right? So the thing is that people who are good at this, they're the most valuable people around. For more information about this online community, to get your own copy of the book upon which this entire training series is based, either the ebook, the paperback, or the audiobook, go to mindtimeandpower.com, where you can also get a free copy of this Design Your Life workbook.